Now, as you guys probably know, or should I say probably experienced, the game at the moment is pretty much broken. Some systems have bugged gates, basically you are unable to leave the system. My system here is also included in the buggy system list, and I've also noticed that the gate guns in some areas in lowsec are not working. So yeah, a lovely week so far, and hopefully the developers will solve that over the weekend. Actually, it's been a while since we've had a maintenance on weekend, and they are, as of me recording this at the moment, the game is in maintenance. So yeah, who knows what will happen after the maintenance is done. Also, still no old nanocore support onto the bomber battleships. I don't know why. At the same time, I'm not really mad, because right now we have something kind of game breaking going on here with the gates and gate guns. So I'm not going to, I'm not going to rush them with the nanocore update here. But just to give you a update on to the nanocore status for this ship. Yeah, still waiting for that to be available. I'm starting to wonder how many systems have been affected. I've seen a list of over 300 systems myself. So yeah, something has definitely happened on the server side. I know that they did the network update, or should I say the server cluster upgrades, which is a good thing, but apparently they messed something up. I don't know. That's usually how it goes nowadays with code. You fix one thing and 10 more bugs appear. Coding is no small thing, but anyway, today we will have some fun, we will have some combat. And I did actually manage to find some targets despite the game being in a not quite playable state at the moment. It's not unplayable obviously, but a lot of players are stuck in some certain systems. And yeah, that's the thing that's going on. Now, we have a lot of signatures here, and I'll go start with the Cyclone first. There has been a lot more signals, but I wasn't able to do anything since I wasn't able to log in and I wasn't able to actually play properly. So after I returned, I did manage to find some, and there is a Cyclone, which is going to be the first target for today. We have a Cyclone, Phantasm, and there is a third one, I forgot, I think a Bruix. I decided to go with the Cyclone first, since they seem to be finishing the mission the fastest. I have the classic Saelos build, 2 points, 1 guidance disruptor, the usual thing that I have on the Saelos. Sometimes I have scramblers, but lately I have been using this thing as a kite. Well, medium distance, medium to long range, I guess. And the Cyclone was stacked. Alright, fair enough. Did seem to be tanky though, I'll say that. I wasn't doing much damage to the Cyclone, which was a little bit weird. Never mind, let's go to the next target, which is the Bruix. I wanted to go with the Phantasm, but I decided to go with the Bruix. I just had the feeling that they might be more expensive than a Phantasm. Because of the drone, they're actually using they have been using a salvaging drone, which does seem interesting, and okay, it does seem to have an nanocore as well. Seems to be full health too, so let me warp off. And they seem to be close to 0, so yeah, this will work. Okay, I will be decloaking, and then we will be heading back to the Bruix. Did seem to be close to 0. I'll just warp at 0, or close. Should be 10-13 kilometers. Yeah, that should be enough.
Warp drive
Going
active.
back. A lot of action today, that's for sure. A lot of activity. Maybe because players are unable to leave the system. Could be the case. I don't know. Hello there, and not a bad warp in. I warped a bit close, but I'm in a speedy ship, so not a big deal. Pointed, well, in this case, the guidance disruptor is absolutely useless, but it's there. I'll use it. Okay, they are in hold. They are shooting at me. Okay, that's fine. They have long-range railguns. I pop the damage control just to absorb some damage, although not necessarily required. But yeah, there we go. The Bruix has been destroyed, and let's take a look at the wreck. Now, I would say it's definitely a good decision that I went for the Bruix first, because my nose usually is never wrong when it comes to expensive stuff, and you will see what I'm talking about. Phantasm is next. First, let me see the warp in, and let me see if they finished the mission. If they finished the mission, well, then it's too late. Let's see what the Phantasm is doing. And yeah, they finished the mission. I am too late. Oh well, you win some, you lose some. So, what are they? Yeah, they're also burning away towards the sun or towards the gate. Yeah, I'm probably not going to be able to catch the Phantasm. Doesn't seem to have an nanocore, but that's a good loot drop, by the way. Let me take a look at the kill of the. Ooh, almost a 3 billion ESC Bruix. That's lovely. This is what I'm saying. My nose is usually never wrong, and I'm actually happy that I decided to go after the Bruix instead of the Phantasm. Definitely the more valuable kill here. Definitely the more valuable target. Oh well, let me actually dock and swap ships. The Cyclone can potentially return, and when the Cyclone returns, if they return, I will be using a Stratios, since I don't know how many stabs they have. Did seem tanky, probably not going to be able to survive some good old drone bombs, so I'll use the Stratios for the Cyclone when they return. Or I might actually wait out the criminal timer in space here. I'm cloaked, so I don't have to risk the ship docking. That was definitely a beautiful Bruix. Well, I mean, when I say beautiful, I mean the value. The builds, yeah, it's not good. The hybrid tank Bruix cannot make that up. Anyway, we have the Phantasm is no longer in the mission. They are docked, I believe, but the Cyclone returned. I already scouted and I took the Stratios, just as I said that I will take this thing, and now we are going to go in. I don't know why I did the cloak. This thing can lock and target the second it decloaks. So just habit of flying the Saelos. You don't need to decloak. Actually, oh yeah, I had to load the bombs. Okay, that explains it. Anyway, let's see. Where is the Cyclone? Well, okay, not the best warping I did here. Primarily because I did not have a good warping to begin with. So I'm just going to slowly approach the Cyclone. They're also orbiting. Doesn't seem like they have a nanocore, but they did manage to stab out from my Saelos, so at least a minimum of 4 points at least on this ship. A minimum of 4 points. I have 16 points, so yeah, very few ships are able to warp out from a Stratios tackle. And I'm not really worried about the DPS. I have drone bombs on this thing. So whatever happens, that ship will be yeeted within seconds, hopefully. Just because they have stabs. I prefer longer battles, but when they have stabs, yeah, I just want to eliminate the ship as quickly as I can. Just to minimize the chances of them miraculously stabbing out from my scramblers here. Well, slowly approaching. Very soon I will tackle, actually, yeah, I'll tackle immediately. Orbiting at 0, scrambled, launching the bombs, launching the drones. Now they are not tanking a lot, that's weird. That now I'm actually doing a lot more damage, which is kind of confusing, since... Okay, well they might have changed the build. I think they might have changed the build. Did seem a lot tankier than what I experienced here. I expected much more tank. But apparently I was wrong. I don't know why my Saelos didn't do a lot of damage. Even if with like the clocking device installed, the Saelos still should have like 7000 DPS. Not really sure what happened there. Weird. That was very weird indeed. But in any case, the Cyclone from earlier has been destroyed. As I said before, there is no running away from a Stratios tackle. If a Stratios wants to tackle you, the Stratios will tackle you. Unless, you know, in 99.99% of cases the Stratios will tackle. In very few cases it won't. Depends on how the server tick does catch you. Surprisingly cheap ship, but at the same time I'm kind of confused why my Saelos didn't do as much damage as it should. Now here I almost caught a Neros. They have been at the planet. Could have potentially be a bait, but at the same time I don't really think that was the case. I think that the ship here was collecting planetary materials. And well, I think I kind of was too slow. I don't really expect ships to haul planetary materials. Sometimes they do, sometimes they do exploration, and that's why I need to have an alt to just look at what's happening in the system. A cloak alt, which currently I'm unable to do since my alt cannot go to this system since the game is a little bit bugged. The game is in some need of maintenance. Well, still is maintenance actually. I just checked the... Yeah, it's gonna be a long day for sure. Anyway, let's see what ship I'll take here. I'll take the Stratios. Yeah, I always take the Stratios. The good old Stratios. Nothing beats a good old Stratios. I love this ship. Okay, let's undock.
Undocking.
And let's see if I manage to catch the next target. Actually, never mind. The Neros. I thought the Neros would actually go somewhere, but they didn't. Actually, they did. They left the system or they logged out. Oh well. That was
undocking.
Kind of a unexpected thing, but since I'm already here, let me just double check something. Maybe they have some planetary materials next door in the next system, which is also a low sec system. Kind of risking. Maybe I'm unable to
warp drive active.
Unable to leave the next system. I don't know. We're about to find out. Some gates work, some gates don't, so that's one thing to keep in mind at the moment. That's one thing to keep in mind. And some of the systems that I'm not going to mention, by the way, have stuck super capitals. A lot of them have carriers inside with no stations, by the way. Technically you should be able to jump with a super capital or with a capital in general, so yeah, it's kind of funny though, because the Sino ship can also be stuck. That also works that way. And this system was empty as well. Okay, well, we have a incoming Ashim, I mean Bhaalgorn. Now usually I use the Bhaalgorn with a micro warp drive. It's just the way I prefer to fly this ship, really. It's good for some targets, it's bad for other targets. It doesn't have a damage control, which is kind of sucks that it doesn't have a damage control, but you know, it should work. So it works against some targets, it doesn't work against other targets. But in this case, I have a damage control installed, so I'm not really worried about being jumped. Has a different build. I forgot exactly what rigs I slapped on this thing, but it is built in the image of my friend's Bhaalgorn, which is one of the tankiest Bhaalgorns that you see in the game. And so far, I've been really happy with the tank on this ship. And the damage control is actually really good, since it's able to absorb a lot of incoming damage. And nowadays, with the implants and stuff like that, the damage control is definitely very valuable. Okay, the Ashim jumped. So let's see what happens here now. Now the Ashim is definitely not a bad ship. It's also a vampire, and it's one of the cruisers that used to be absolute gold back in the day. Since back in the day, with no implants, endurance was also one of the most important things. Besides the build, endurance was the Ashim's best trait. And dual webs, point and Nosferatu, you were able to tank literally every single cruiser in the game. And I love the Ashim to use it that way. It was just gold. It was just perfect. It was perfect chip. But this Ashim is holding cloak, which is very interesting. I have dual Nosferatus and a Scram. There is the Ashim. Okay. Technically, I should be able to wipe out almost the full capacitor of the Ashim. I also have general units on this thing. Okay, doing some damage. Based on the damage that I've done to its shield, this Ashim smells like a armor tank. Definitely smells like an armor tank, so that's going to be interesting. There I have a micro warp drive. Okay. Now I'm fairly sure I did have a big impact on the I should have a big impact on the capacitor on the Ashim. The problem is I'm slow. This is where I started to curse that I did not have a micro warp drive on this thing. It would be much easier for me to approach them with a micro warp drive, and I would be able to actually do some more damage to it. But this is where the lack of speed on the Bhaalgorn kind of helps me. You see, the Ashim seems to be using dual webs and a Nosferatu and a long range disruptor, so definitely seems like a kite. Now if the Ashim pilot is skilled, they will not be orbiting, they will be keeping the Mauler at distance, at range. Because if they orbit, they will fly towards my ship, and that means that I will be able to do some damage to them. And well, what do you think? Which one of the two options will the Ashim take? Orbit or keep at range? Well, based on what's happening here, they are orbiting, and that's a big mistake because now they flew right towards my Bhaalgorn, and that means this Ashim is going to have a very bad day. And so yeah, we have a Macario incoming. My alt is watching the other system. There is a Macario on the way here. Well, there we go. The Ashim has been destroyed. The Ashim pilot made a fatal error in orbiting, not keeping at range. If they kept the Mauler at distance, at range with the webs, I would never be able to approach with this ship. And that's the thing that the Ashim pilot can do better next time. When you have a bubble and a big battleship, keep the battleship at distance and separate the battleship from the Mauler, because the Ashim can take a interdictor bubble easily, especially if it has a long range kite build, and if it's fast, then a bubble ship will not be able to break through its tank. Now, so far I have been one of the very few pilots who actually used a Black Ops Macario, and you might be thinking, well, what the hell is a Black Ops Macario? Well, it's a Macario with a clocking device. And there is the Macario. And you might be thinking, well, why am I mentioning a Black Ops Macario? Well, we have a Black Ops Macario here, which is very funny because you don't see that often. But yeah, I mean, a clocking device on a Macario, I've used it. Ironically, it actually works really well. It's not something I recommend players to do because it's cursed, but man, let me tell you, when I used the Black Ops, the clocking Macario, it was really funny because there's been moments where I would just warp somewhere with criminal timer, with station in the system. I would cloak, and there would be a fleet searching for me, but they are unable to find me. And it was pretty funny because that cloaking device definitely helped me out a lot on the Macario when I used to run around with that ship in the good old days. But yeah, the Black Ops Macario is actually a valid tactic. Not my favorite build, obviously, since it's hella cursed, but if something is stupid and it works, well, can you really call it stupid? In this case, you can't because it actually works. There's the Ashim kill. Not bad. I mean, classic PvP. Actually, no, they did have. Yeah, I would use a large armor repair or dual medium armor repairs on the Ashim. Not exactly the build I would use on the ship. When it comes to the low slots, the medium slots are fine. The medium slots seems like a combat, seems like a PvP Ashim meant to search around for targets. Not bad, but not a build that I would use on the Ashim. And the Macario slow boated to the gate and jumped through. That was actually kind of funny. Well, let's see if they decide to return. I mean, if I had a micro overdrive, I would be able to decloak them. Not a big problem for me to decloak ships. In this situation, I just had the wrong build for the wrong moment, and it just happens. Not a big deal. But the Macario returned, and let's see if they decide to jump through the gate. There is the Macario. And they cloaked again, as expected. Now we will try to decloak and approach the Macario. I mean, for me, it's pretty easy for me to decloak ships. I've been doing this for 5-6 years now in this game, so it's not really a big deal. My friend also is able to do the same thing. Sometimes, though, depending on the server tick, we get unlucky, and oh, there's the Macario, decloaked. Now they have a 30-second lock delay, so yeah, not exactly where I want to be. And my web doesn't seem to be working. So this Macario is using a what was it called again? Glacier? No, that's not a glacier. Porcelain core, or Voyage core, or some of the other one-click escape nano cores. Explains why they're able to get to the gate this quick, because they have a one-click escape nano core. Lovely. If there's one thing that the developers never should have added to the game, it's one-click escape nano cores. They're just not good. I mean, good for the player who's using them, bad for the game's health in general, because it's just not a thing that should be in EVE. But in any case, that was a nice little run, as much as I've been able to actually record, because the game is currently a little bit broken and I'm waiting for it to be fixed. But with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you would like to support me, feel free to like and subscribe. And with that being said, stay safe, play safe, and as always, I'll see you next time.